Hi, welcome back to Health Before Travel. Today we are going to be talking about the best places to have sex, actually. The last episode that we had, we actually talked about traveling solo. And today we are joined by Shannon Boudram, our sexologist, our sexpert.
Your daughter, whatever.
His daughter. My pride. We're going to be touching on those places that around the world in where it's probably safe to have sex, but at the same time we have to appreciate that sex is got to still be considered not so safe. Is that correct? I don't know how I'm putting it, if I'm putting it right. So let's start with destination number one. So Bali is one of the destinations that is known throughout the world as a party place to go, and it's actually a place that a lot of people go for sex. It's like sex tourism, so to speak. They have a thing called the Kuta Cowboys out there that the girls really go wild over.
What I'm doing tonight, if you have any planning, you can come with me tonight. I love you.
It's actually boosts their economy. It's huge in Bali. A Kuta Cowboy is basically, they don't like to be known as gigolos there. That's not the same. That's not the idea that it is. It's actually where a girl treats you like a girlfriend. And what do you think about girls that go there for having sex, so to speak?
So it's rent a boyfriend, basically. So people go there and they have somebody who shows them around, knows the city, knows the culture, but then also may know their body and a couple tricks in between. Now, I think it's a great thing. What's important to know about that, obviously, is that even if you do only have one sexual partner while you're on vacation, it's the same principles apply. And that's kind of by and large, I guess, what you're saying is that sex ed and safe sex is the same no matter where you go, whether you're in a relationship or you're just traveling for one night stands. You want to make sure that you are traveling with your own condoms because things happen on the fly, you never know. And the thing you didn't expect to happen could just possibly happen. That's the joy of travel too, is that spontaneity is the spice of life. And you go somewhere new to experience something new, and you would walk with things in your pocket to protect yourself against the outdoors. So why not the same thing when it comes to your body and sex?
Exactly. And I think when you're talking about sex tourism, I think that it's important that they're in this relationship with you and treating you like a girlfriend, but you understand that you're not your girlfriend. So you mutually understand. Another place that, again, is known throughout the world is actually becoming more and more popular, Thailand. Now, not necessarily for sex, it's actually becoming one of the biggest tourist destinations by Westerners right now. But sex is definitely one of those things that people think of Thailand and think of sex. And that's because they do have a night district there. It's called the night market, and a lot of sex trades go on there, sex shows.
What's great, we actually learned a lot about Thailand in school, in that it's one of the more sexually progressive countries, and that comes also with their porn, and their pornography looks like real people. It might be a woman who's already had a kid, or it may be an older man. It's not just people with gigantic boobs and, foot-long penises. It's real people because they grow up with sex not being a massive taboo there. So a lot of the culture there is very sexually accepting. It's also a great place to go for homosexual culture. So I think it's a great place to go to try something new, and not to feel like you have to live up to all the glamorous sort of versions of sex that we may think of when we think of Brazil or we think of Ibiza, whereas in Thailand is more just like real people with a lot less stigma, but of course the same diseases.
So the other place is Amsterdam, which is probably one of the most liberated cities out there as far as sex goes. We all know about the red light district. And the other thing about it too is surprisingly, it's one of the safest places to have sex. Like, you would think that with all that going on that, maybe it would probably be hard when you're traveling alone. But it's one of the safest places to travel. Right?
I guess because it's a part of the government market, so it ends up being safer because of the fact that you do have police protection. And for somewhere, for example, like in Canada, if you are engaging with that behavior, which happens all around the world, if you have an incident, you wouldn't go to the police to try to get that corrected. And so as a result of that, there's a lot more deviance in those areas. So when you go to Amsterdam, at least you have the comfort of knowing that if something goes wrong, you can always go to the police, or you can go to the hospital, and there won't be a charge that's associated with that.
Right.
I think it's great to know. I mean, in the day, it is like packing the dental dam. There are a lot of things that we think about when it comes to safe sex, like, oh, no wouldn't want to do that. So the dental dams are the things you would use for a woman, and then even using condoms for oral sex, but then making them a fun part of it. You know, buying different flavors and sensations. I always say the conversation around safe sex doesn't have to be boring. Like, hey, I think that you may have a lifelong illness. I'm going to put this plastic bag over top of you so we don't touch. It's more like, oh, how can we enhance it? You know, let's use a condom so that we last longer, because there's ones that are actually thicker so that reduce sensation. Or let's use a condom that's tingly, or one that's ribbed. You know, we can make the conversation around safe sex fun and have all those tools. And that could be a cool thing too, where you have an experience with someone, you open your kit and you're like, are you a ribbed person? Are you an icy person? Are you extended pleasure? You know, it's not like we're making this an unfun conversation. The conversation around safe sex needs to be fun, but you have to walk with those things and carry them just like you would Tums or whatever else.
That's really interesting, and I never ever knew that or thought of that. I actually never knew that they came in different thicknesses. I do know that they have ribbed and they have different, you know, flavors, and I understand all that, but hey, something, right? And then of course, like we are talking about safe travel and that. So what are some of the things that you have to take for yourself and take responsibility for yourself when you're traveling as well? Same idea. Another destination, of course, is Brazil. It is the, you know, the party place of South America. We all think of Rio de Janeiro. We think of the carnival there and those beautiful women and their golden bodies and everything. So, yes, sex is very much out there. The flip side to Brazil, though, is that unlike Amsterdam, it is probably one of the unsafest places to have sex as a traveler, right? When you're going there, because the crime is so high, the violence is high, theft, disease, rape, all of it. You know? Shannon, when you think about partying there in Brazil, it is really easy to get caught up in that. And so as a female and you're traveling, we know what we're used to over here in terms of traveling, and like we keep coming back to the same laws that apply here, apply there as well. But when you're so caught up in it, what are some of the things that you could probably say to somebody when you are out there in such a party environment and you are surrounded by a culture that this is just how they party?
I think if you're going to somewhere that is a bit more dangerous, and especially if you're traveling alone, like you said, you have to create community somewhere. And if you haven't made friends or a trusted group of other travelers you guys can go out with and sort of have a buddy system going on, there's a lot of places that will help you find those experiences that, again, have that Amsterdam safety net captured into it. So you could go somewhere, maybe a resort that specializes in helping people find those hookup experiences or find those fun clubs, but they're traveling in a group and they know the security protocols and they invite certain people maybe in where you guys have paid for that they are aware are not going to turn around and mug you. So it's a matter of finding community, and if you don't have that naturally because you didn't find that in a group by yourself, go and pay the extra money for it. I mean, it's definitely worth the experience and then worth the peace of mind.
Something that we just don't think about often enough, and sometimes even if you think about it when you're here and when you get down there, you're like, I've got this under control, and then now so the last destination, and very dear to Jamaica. Beautiful, sunny beaches, palm trees, drinks, rum punch, all of that. And you can totally get caught up in that. But as a foreign woman, you invite a lot of attention down there, and don't get put off by that. And it's nothing for them to say, you know, I want to have sex with you. It's very much a part of their culture, and it's very easy going. The best thing that you can do is stand your ground, be very respectful of them, and you know what, try and pass it off as a joke. They get it, they're very, very fun-spirited. On the flip side though, it's also very dangerous down there.
Well, why is it top 5 for places to have sex?
They have a place there called Hedonism, and it actually has a nude beach, and it's very open. You know, yeah. She went, so she knows.
Especially if you are traveling to have a new sexual experience, or that's kind of the MO for why you're going somewhere, is to find an organized place like that where it's contained on the ground, and then you can choose to go off and have your own experiences. What I liked about hedonism is that it was super respectful of why everybody was there. And so I went with an all women's group, and we went for like a nude liberation experience. So it was a lot more yoga on the beach and, you know, conversations. And we weren't there for the fluffing parties at night or other things that were going on, you know, or like the playroom that was there. And people really respected that. No one came up to me and made any kind of comment. They could kind of just tell if you were there, if you weren't there. If they didn't see you the night before in the playroom, they probably guessed that you weren't there for that, and they left you alone.
What's the playroom?
So it was, you know, it's just like 50 Shades of Grey. You have all the whips and the chains and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not your McDonald's playroom for sure.
Okay. I didn't know if there were slides and swings and stuff.
And then even
know?
if you don't want to go, you're just curious to be around it, but you don't want to partake in it, it's a great way. So I kind of encourage that for anywhere you go in the world, is to maybe find a club like that that encourages sexual liberation, but also is respectful of people and their different boundaries.
Okay. That was great, and we seem to have covered off a lot of the different destinations out there, and some of them, like I said, are very safe, and some of them are a little bit more risky. But at the end of the day, it does come down to you taking responsibility for yourself. You know the rules, you know the laws, you know what applies here, applies there. But you know, you can travel, you can travel and have sex and be safe at the same time. Is that correct?
I think it's correct, yeah.
I know. I don't think.
You can't happen. You'll die.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Shannon, for being with us today.
Yes, I'm doing a special limited edition version of these necklaces. I've been wearing this for 2 years now, and I love it because it is a conversation piece, but it also gets to reserve some mystery to it. So it's a 4-speed vibrator. There you go. That you can use for sexual pleasure, as my mom said, you can use for dermatology.
For your dermatology, for your eyes.
Or you just have it as a symbol. I mean, for me, it's more of a conversation piece. It always kills at parties, and it's beautiful, and I'm really, really glad to be wearing it and sharing the message of, let's just stop acting like it's such a massive deal. Let's just stop acting like not all of us, you know, enjoy pleasure or enjoy feeling good, and it's important that women's pleasure is at the forefront, and so I wear mine on my chest, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud you're wearing one too.
And I love it because I own it.
Good job.
I want to thank Shannon for being with us today. She gave us a lot of information and a lot of tips that we can use the next time that we are traveling. If you have any questions or have any comments, please go ahead and list those below. That would be great. And also don't forget to subscribe, because we've got a lot of other topics coming up and they are going to be of great use to you. In the meantime, I want to wish you all safe travels as you go forward, and don't forget to like us.